Thank you for that very kind and generous introduction. As you can see by the program, I've entitled my remarks, Lincoln, a Full Measure of Greatness, but I don't want to miss this opportunity to talk a little bit about the Lincoln Bicentennial and Michigan's role in that, because as teachers, if you're not familiar with some of the activities going on, I want to encourage you to become more familiar, because I think there are a lot of educational opportunities. To begin with, Congress appointed a national commission, and those commission members started formally on Lincoln's birthday in 2008. And our legislature decided that we were going to mirror the national commemoration, so it's a two-year celebration from February the 12th, 2008 till February the 12th, 2010. And our legislature passed a joint resolution. Gleaves mentioned our committee. There are 14 of us, and when the National Commission kicked off the bicentennial, every governor was asked to appoint somebody to represent that state, and I was pleased that Governor Granholm asked me to do that. One of the kind of humorous incidents about all of that is that some of the states were slow in appointing their liaison or their lead to the National Commission. And if I were a teacher, I would ask you to guess which was the last one.
South Carolina.
South Carolina, you got it right. Isn't that's kind of amusing, isn't it, that they were the first to leave the Union and the last to sign on this celebration about Abraham Lincoln. Well, we have a number of partners, and no partner is greater than the Hauenstein Center for Presidential Studies, and we so appreciate what they've done. And one of the major things right out from the beginning with Brian's leadership is to establish a website, milincoln.com. And if you haven't looked at it, there is a treasure trove of information that I think will help you. One of the things that we did an inventory of all of the Lincoln material, manuscripts, artifacts, and you're going to find that inventory, and you'll know where, if you don't already know, where those wonderful resources are. The Hauenstein Center also had a wonderful commemoration of the sesquicentennial, the Lincoln-Douglas debates, and they brought in Professor Alan Gelzo from Gettysburg College, and in my opinion has written the finest book on the Lincoln-Douglas debates, and I'm sure Brian and Gleaves agree with me that he is a phenomenal speaker. Great historian, and some historians can write and not speak so well, but somebody like Gelzo or somebody like Bill Brands not only writes beautifully but speaks with equal eloquence. Another thing that we did early on that I want to make sure you know about, because you can access, the Department of Education commissioned a teacher, a middle school teacher, to do an original play about Lincoln in Michigan. And that is completed, and many schools are actually performing that play. And you can learn also about that on our website. One of the exciting things we're doing is called the Lincoln Leadership Series. Many people believe that we can learn a great deal from the lessons of Abraham Lincoln, the greatest leader we've had, the greatest president we've had, and the Fetzer Institute in Kalamazoo provided the funding, and we kicked that off in September with a keynote speech by Ronald White. And if you haven't been going to Barnes & Noble and looking at the new bookstores, Ron White has come out with a tremendous biography that even people like James McPherson thinks it is the best single biography. I can't imagine that you could write something today that would get that kind of acclaim. But then we're going to do 3 roundtables on various leadership themes to follow that up. The Plymouth Historical Society did a program as well. Recently, the Gerald Ford Presidential Museum. Well, what's coming up next that you can anticipate and take advantage of? Well, one of the things is you're going to want to be in Grand Rapids on February 18th, because the Hauenstein Center is going to have a debate, and the debate is going to include 2 people, and I haven't read Tom Kranowitter's book yet, Vindicating Lincoln. You can imagine what his position is going to be, because there are lots of revisionist historians He's a professor at Hillsdale College, and he is going to square off with a gentleman named Winston Elliott, who is with the Free Enterprise Institute, and they're going to be debating Lincoln's presidency and his legacy. I'm not going to be able to hear that because tomorrow I have the privilege of flying to Springfield, and then I'm going to experience the warm weather in Arizona. Something else that's coming up that you'll want to watch for is my former department. I have to be careful. The Michigan Historical Center is a part of it, and Michigan History Magazine is published by our department. And they're going to publish an anthology of Lincoln stories, and that'll be out in April. It's going to be a hardcover book, and we have lots of connection to Lincoln. Then we're going to very, very soon, and I hope you will participate and encourage others to participate. We're working with the Michigan Commandery of the Military Order of the Loyal Legion and leadership here in Grand Rapids to sponsor an essay contest. And I brought along some flyers, but you can get more detail on this essay contest on our website. But please pick up a copy of this because I want to encourage participation. Something else that you might want to get a hold of, and that is to get a hold of the National Commission. Every state was offered an opportunity to participate in this publication, A New Birth of Freedom, and I just got some copies, and if you haven't been on the national website, it is abrahamlincoln200.org, abrahamlincoln200.org, and I'll bet if you contacted them, they'd send you a copy of this marvelous publication. And each state gets a page, and here's ours on 109 about key things coming up and facts about our connection to Michigan. Now, I do have some copies, and I urge you to pick one up. This is a publication of the Organization of American Historians called Magazine on History, and it's all about Lincoln, and it's really aimed at teachers. The very first article is Teaching Lincoln's Legacy. And there's a lot of, I haven't read it because I've just gotten it, but it's a beautiful publication. Those are, you can have a copy if you choose one. Hillsdale College is doing a brand new sculpture on Abraham Lincoln. And then finally I'll say that we are putting together what's going to be called a Remembrance Trail. And we'll have that up and ready by April of this year. So if you take field trips with students, it'll give you an opportunity to visit sites in Michigan that relate to Lincoln. And one might say, well, this isn't Indiana, this isn't Kentucky, this isn't Illinois, but we've got a lot in Michigan. Starting with, of course, Greenfield Village and the chair that Lincoln was sitting in when he was assassinated, starting with the only Illinois courthouse that Lincoln practiced law in that's not in Illinois, the Logan County Courthouse, the original structure in the 8th Congressional District. Grace Bedell's wonderful letter telling Lincoln he'd look better if he grew whiskers is at the Detroit Public Library in the Burton Collection. It goes on and on. A marvelous sculpture in Muskegon. So we're going to link all those together. We're going to work with Travel Michigan, get it up on the website. So all of that about Michigan's commemoration and, in part, the Nationals commemoration. Now, back to Lincoln, a full measure of greatness.